Hi, Doug. Can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Give me 1 second. Just want to make sure the volume is up. Can you speak, please?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Hi.
Hey guys.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Doug, it sounds like you're a little low. Hi, Janine.
All right.
Howdy.
Hey.
So make it higher. More audio settings.
Oh, we got a full house in there.
So, hi, Krista.
Mhm.
We're good. Doug, let's try it one more time. Can you speak?
Testing 1, 2,
Yep.
3. Hello.
Hey guys.
Perfect. Okay, we can hear you great. Awesome.
Yay. Last time was a total bust. So this is good.
How are you?
How are you feeling, Liz?
Yes, I did. She took care of it.
Okay.
I'm feeling a lot better than I was yesterday, so that's good.
That's a start.
Yeah. My husband is way worse. And now Maddie has a fever, so we're a hot mess.
No.
Fields for reports. Separation. Can you sit next? That's it. You may just issue a list of people. Yeah, tell me, and then I'll be very nice. Because I have the reports that I want to generate, they're just gonna duplicate some same, and just with different things. So it automatically pulls into the,
In our alley at the end.
there's not much.
Well, back them up and put them in the garbage can.
And multiple crimes, it wasn't with up the same information. You asked me for a specific person report. That modifier going to. If you tell me those speeds, I'll generally get it. Okay, if you tell me I'm. Yeah. Okay. So that's all, when you go there, and then it'd be close. Yeah, that's it.
Fabiola called me. She said she would be coming. I haven't heard from Tony said he would be coming. I haven't heard from Sharon. Andrew Dunning resigned. And Doug's here. And Diana, I haven't heard from her either.
Did you get any accepts from the technology committee, Jose?
Excuse me?
Did you get accepts from the technology committee?
I cannot.
Did you get accepts from the technology committee?
No.
For this meeting?
No, I did not. Let me check real quick. Because I believe that meeting was created by someone else.
And it was
Not-
sent to the technology committee.
Let
and
me,
the
let me double
communication-
check. Let me double check. I'm so sorry, Krista.
Yeah, no, I know. I saw the invites go through and the two listservs look totally fine.
I know,
so-
Bill Long was the one that declined, but he explained why. Let me just double check. Myself, Andrew, John Greenberg declined, Andrew Dunning, Tom Hall, Doug, Bill Long declined, and Charles Richards accepted. So 1, 2, yeah, everyone else either didn't respond or declined.
Well, thankfully, we don't need to vote on anything, so quorum is not necessary, but it would have been appreciated. But
I'm expanding the list for the tech committee. Yep, they didn't accept. You did.
Yeah.
You did.
Like we were all on it as optional.
Looks like they took the option.
Yeah.
Well, it will be recorded so they can watch it.
They need to go on required going forward.
yeah,
All right.
there's
Lena?
so it's 6. I know we don't have anyone else who's joined online or in the room, but Krista, do we want to go ahead and get started? Since
Sure.
if people are optional, I doubt they're going to join. Okay. I guess I can quickly go through the agenda. We do not have quorum. So we technically cannot call the meeting to, we can call it to, we can't technically call it to order. And it has been properly noticed. So I guess today will just more so be a working session with the ONR demo. And then we can do like a very rudimentary bit of the discussion items, which were the website transition from the technology committee over to the communications committee, and then the SMS CRNet package discussion, so that the tech committee is aware of what is going on that end, since it is technologically related as well. So Jose,
That sounds good.
if you can demo us and we can start recording. I think it's recording. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
so, do you want to see the user interface first or the back admin piece?
I think I would like to see the user interface, because I think that that's the piece that we're mostly concerned about with how it's going to integrate into the whole communications and tech stack.
Okay.
Agree.
All right, so I'm on my browser. So I'm logging into the celebration residential.onramp.us, so onrapp.us. So I'm gonna go to the resident login. I'm gonna enter my username.
Is there, I don't see the screen being shared on our end.
Is it?
No, I can't.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my mistake. It's just my HDMI is plugged in, so.
And so what you're demoing, so real quick, just for clarification too, what you're demoing is the website version of it versus the app, right?
Yeah.
Are they, so is it just the, I guess I've never seen the website version.
So
Either. I've
what I'll
only
do
ever
is I'll
seen it
show
on
the
the phone.
website front end.
Okay.
And I'll join in Teams and I'll share it here.
Okay,
and then
Okay.
we'll see.
gotcha. Thank you.
There you go. See my screen?
There we go. Now I can.
Yep.
I'm logging in.
Hey, Jose, can you minimize the video so we're not, there you go. Thank you.
Come on. So once you log in to ONR, you'll get greeted on the PC, of course, on the web portal. You'll get greeted by what they call the dashboard. And in that dashboard, you have your left pane. And in that left pane, you have what's called a community feed. And in that community feed, you would send a message to everyone within the community, and they'll be able to see that message. So let's say I wanted to put hello. I could put a title and say, test message. All right. Test message, and I'm gonna say, hello. This is only a test. Right? If I'm on, if I have any pictures I wanted to upload, I can by clicking on this image icon. Just search my photos and then upload them there.
And then this goes to then a feed, which is basically like a community dashboard feed, right?
So everyone that has an account and is on ONR, they'll all see this message.
So yeah, I have a huge concern about this, and I think I might echo others. Do we have limitation? Like, is there any guardrails around like, I'm worried about people posting not necessarily inappropriate pictures, but just like silly pictures or just using it as like a place to vent and complain. Like, are there any guardrails around it? Because we don't need to be community monitoring and moderating this all day.
On the admin side, there are some limitations, and the individuals can actually, the individual being the admins, they can go in. For example, I just sent that message, right? Scroll up. And click on three. Dots, and then delete the post. And then say yes. Or hide it. Check on your own up. Yeah.
I think there's a
You-
question, and I don't know, are there like keywords with certain
There is some moderation filtering. However, it's something that Chris and I have discussed in the past. There is some attention that's required by the admin. In this case, whoever's dealing with the communications component of for that feed.
Yeah, and I have the same concerns Janine does as far as if we were to enable this feature, I'd either needs to be in some way moderated or limited to who can post, because I mean, just if you got something that was inappropriate, derogatory, et cetera, like anything bad, we don't want it. We don't want our communications team or anyone else having to monitor this 24/7. And if something gets posted at 6 o'clock at night and it sits there till 8 o'clock in the morning, the next morning.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah, I
So
fully
I-
agree with that.
I have a question. The community forum that was on the website, could Was it similar to where anybody could post anything whenever?
No, there was on the old website, it was
Yeah, I believe you could post whatever you wanted. They had it broken into different categories that you could bucket it under, but it was free for anyone.
Was it an
Yeah.
approval?
And then it was,
process?
No, I believe you just created your own thread and then it was just a matter of whoever replied to it.
And I think we
Right.
should also just note that, you know, when that was created, probably a decade or so ago, things have changed drastically on social media and how people use that. sort of-
Yeah.
That was basically built in the bulletin board, like forum type days, not social media type days. So just, we should adjust our lens on that as well.
Yeah.
level
My
set-
my concern is this
set
is
with
going to
everyone.
turn into, oh, sorry, I think we're talking over each other, but my concern is that this is going to turn into like the forums are on social media that are not affiliated with town hall. That can be very, very toxic at times. And again, we don't need Liz and her team being in here having to moderate, like even like approve topics. That's my big concern.
I'm just gonna add overall, I know ONR has its functions, but what is this capability trying to solve for within our community?
so this originally was the replacement for Rec Pro, for amenities reservation.
This capability right here, Rec Pro is its own thing. We need that. That's
This,
part of-
this came in as an add-on with those capabilities, so we can disable it or enable it as we need it, it's modular.
But again, I'm trying to before we started, I'm just putting that question out there before we get too deep of, is this really something we need? Or do we just leave the chatter on the porches rather than forcing someone within Grand Manners or any community that's volunteering to manage this type of communication?
I think the problem though is that right now there's no official or you basically have backwards and frontwards signboards 2.0. This is a conduit to kind of funnel that into something a little bit more efficient. Like, and I think then we can start getting direction, like go here, et cetera, but to all of what's discussed, how do we moderate this, how do we make sure that the feedback is constructive, who of the parameter side is going to be
Sponsor.
right, I need to filter all that stuff. So I mean, I think it makes sense. And I guess is that consistent with the communications committee recommendations, right? Going back, Ginny and Krista, was this something too that you identified for? It wasn't, okay.
This was not something we identified as a critical need because of the lack of utilization of the forums. We know that there were issues with the forums on the previous website, but the utilization when we saw from like years past worth of data that they weren't being used and people were utilizing social media and we're using, again, they're not affiliated, but we're using Back Porch, Back Porch 2.0, all of the different ones that exist.
so I have a question for Jose. Can the community feed be one way, whereas we're just communicating out and they
Yes,
can't communicate back? So maybe that's one way to start
That's-
it.
the communications feed can be omnidirectional, and it could be from GM to the residents. It's up to you how you want to use this, but yeah, you can.
I guess I would personally see that as more beneficial to start based on kind of like my celebration out there, get certain notification there, but if ONR is gonna be more of the app that everything within celebration is gonna be in, then maybe that's what those notifications should be, and not necessarily just in my
Right.
celebration.
Mm-hmm.
So
Agree.
Fred got a whole bunch of notifications. Did they
Right.
come from this as a source or was it from some other capability within ONR?
No, that was,
It was
that was,
part of NR.
so I was working on,
No, it was, I probably got.
And
20
not
of them.
through ONR though.
no, it wasn't through.
It's through the
Oh.
other.
Oh,
No.
so how's that? That's the one direction communication you're talking
Right.
about, right? We're just gonna say something, nobody can talk back,
Right.
right? So how does that happen?
That happens on the admin side. You just literally, it's flip a switch. You want it to go only to send, or you can have send and receive.
Yeah, but I mean,
You're
And
getting them
those-
from the other one, the
notification.
GoGov.
That's
oh,
the
no,
GoGo.
no, okay, but I got 19 right now waiting already on one. So what I'm asking is, where did those 19 come from?
Show it right now.
Right here.
I think I lost my.
So these are calendar invites that Liz or assigns someone to prepare inside of here, and it
Okay.
just sends it across to everyone.
Okay, so those are only calendar related events.
Events, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So like, for example, dog park committee location to be determined was posted 3 days ago.
Okay.
So then you have, One blood drive, Lakeside Park 3 days ago.
Okay. So I get it now. So all of those were calendar notifications. Text notification, something calendar related, but make it one way. That's.
But I guess from hearing this seems very redundant.
Mhm.
For communication, because right now, when we send out meeting notifications, right, we do that through, is that through CRNet? Or that's through the mailing list, right, the email list? Okay, so how is that any different from this? Where do we get the feed from for this to blast out those, CRNet?
That gets done by the communication, I mean, somebody post that.
So that's where I think it seems redundant right now, first reaction. And are we going to overwhelm the community with all of these different communication channels?
So-
But there's also communication channels, which is so much going on. So can maybe we talk about that for a bit, kind of comms community tech, legal.
Maybe we could put a pin in this one so we can get through the other features because there are some, so there is, like, we do have to move forward with the app specifically on the Rec Pro side of the house. And I think that's probably another joint meeting with Parks and Rec, but we should at least touch on those features. And then I think we could come back to this because there are other features. And I think we could talk about the community. That's probably its own meeting.
Yeah, and Krista, I fully agree because I know there's some questions I also have too about like how people opt in, opt out of communications. Also, we're discussing SMS tonight, which then is an additional layer of push-based communication. So I'd like to see the rest of it, but I think there's a lot more to uncover with at least this particular part of the functionality.
All right, so for messages, it's exactly what it means. You would go to your messages section. For any member that is part of the ONR celebration app, you can send a message to privately. And you can have private discussions back and forth. We also can create committee groups and associate them. For example, we have the tech committee, we can create a group. And all the messages that are done within the group is contained within that group and you can just exchange information there.
The messaging is there a capability that I can block people from sending me messages.
As an end user, I have not tried that yet.
Right, that's what happens with someone just sending a bunch of messages to somebody, potentially stepping over harassment and not being able to stop that from the user side of it.
So from the admin standpoint, yes, we can stop that. From the user standpoint, I have not tested it.
So not a function that exists today.
No, I can't say it's not a function. I have not tested it. So it's one of those things that we had this, we try to set it up.
Yeah. I can mute someone, block them, or hide all their content.
So there you go.
How did you do that?
I don't know. I just clicked on his name. And then
Oh, I see.
it
Okay.
turns it off.
Well, that's
Thank
good.
you, Chris.
So if you go back to the community feed,
Click on the user.
yeah. Interesting that it's taking. It's loaded. There you go. Click on, you probably don't want to click on yourself. Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's good.
We just confirm that it
Yeah.
works. So if Krista blocks you and then you try to send her a message, it's not.
So, what about
Well, just write it
I
down as something to do. I don't want to waste the time.
Yeah, I just have concern. So we can, like I said, we should take the community feed in this part, like that community interaction, because I don't know that we need another Facebook to manage. But we should probably take that conversation at another time and
Yep,
keep
I'm-
going.
Can you make the community feed one way, but the messages are up to the power of the user?
Can we keep moving? And can we keep moving and see the other features before we, because I think we could spend all our time on just this.
Mhm.
What features are we looking to do? Just so we,
Exactly what, so anything that the admin team goes and wants to share with the community, you'll receive it on the notification. So if it's an event or a message that's coming from the admin side, you see it there. For the most part, we use this mostly for events, as you can see, and you say, come go ahead and on the side. So. Click on
Is
it.
there a way to customize which ones you get?
is there any ability to say whether you are attending an event or not? Viewable to other people?
No, this one doesn't do the, I'm not sending this scenario, there is a way to do it, but this is not, this is just for you to view notification.
Okay.
And you could also add it to your calendar if you. Sure.
Through that, through adding to the calendar, are you then able to see in the back end who's receptive to track potential utilization with it or no?
You just add it to your.
You can't see who's active.
So that's pretty much it for notifications, unless you want to go to the right thing. These are the groups. So these are pretty much the message groups that get created. So once a message group is created and you're part of that group, it'll be listed in the middle. So for example, it's a committee group. You have a list of locations there. Description, I can do email, SMS, or only in that.
Are those unique to the user or unique across the platform?
Across the group. So if you have the app on your phone and I enable this feature for this specific group, then that means you'll be, if something is sent, you'll receive it either as an SMS or you receive it as an email, or equal depending on how you receive it.
That's something the admin can do or something the user can do? Create a group.
In this case, I'm in as a user, so I can say email off, SMS off, but only.
What I'm saying, can I create a tech group and you create a tech group, but we don't see it out there? Or is there only just one tech group that you can create?
No,
For-
no, be created on the admin.
So you are creating those groups.
I have a question about this too. So since there's SMS capabilities in here as well, again, since we're talking about the SeerNet functionality, is this something again where is it only within groups that it's able to send SMS, or are we able to have people opt in here and it deploy out of here as like community notifications?
You can turn on SMS notifications just in general for yourself, but is the cost associated with that
Yeah.
included software?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Okay, so then that begs the question of, I know, again, we're talking about the SeerNet functionality, which we've looked at. It seems to make sense because of the cost basis. Jose, would you be able to provide any documentation around like what this does for it? Because I think at this point now, we need to compare the two, because why turn on SeerNet if we're planning on using ONR or vice versa? Like, there's just too many mechanisms now that people would be able to opt into different types of messaging that it's going to get extremely confusing.
Mhm.
And also it would be if someone's sending one notification out of ONR and then someone's sending a notification out of SeerNet, wires get crossed, different things are being sent. I don't think we've roadmapped this journey out properly.
I can get that for you.
I'm just trying to understand. So you created the group, tech group,
all right, the tech committee group. Now, when I go to that group, I see that I have the option of enabling email, SMS, in-app. Is that only to me or is that for everybody in that group?
That's only to you.
And then if you go into your, and we should probably, if you go into your settings, Jose, so they can follow along because we're looking at it on the app. You go to settings, you have notifications and you can turn those on. I have that on. Maybe I just haven't set up a phone number because,
Yeah, so your phone number has
But
to
you
be added
didn't,
to
you
the-
didn't, you're saying you didn't get these?
yeah, I didn't get text messages.
Yeah, okay.
Is there only one location for notifications, or again, can I turn off notifications for different groups, community feed, messages, et cetera, or is it all just all or nothing?
It's all or nothing for notifications.
Can we look into that? Because typically when it relates to like anything, especially that's an SMS communication, it's never an all on, it's a pick and choose based on federal rules.
So and the reason why is notification, this specific notification is for what's on the main dashboard for notification of the calendar feeds here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I was, yeah, you should have notifications for community feed, you should have notifications for messaging, you know, you should have some options of turning off different pieces of ONR.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think like Krista had said, if we can look at some of the other functionalities that go along with this, I think we need to we need some more documentation surrounding like how some of that works, because then be something for us to look into of comparing if we would use this for SMS communications with the community, since we want them to download this for other functionality, or if we go the Serenet route. I just was not aware that this did any of these type of notifications.
Okay, do you want me to schedule a separate call with ONR so that
That'd be
we can-
awesome. Yeah, just to get some, because I have a list of like 10 questions that I think they might need to answer for us.
Okay. So on the right pane, can I continue? Okay.
Yep.
So on the right pane, we went over the groups. You have your documents. So in here, you'll be able to access your ARC design guidelines, your articles of incorporation, any resolutions, bylaws. You simply click on the folder or, and then you see the listing. And then you can click on the file and it'll open up. And of course, if you're having a technical issue with ONR itself, you can contact ONR support. And then you have your settings. And in your settings, you have on the left pane, your notification. You can enable or disable email or SMS notifications. You can reset your password. You can go to privacy. So you can display your email and you can display your phone number. So when people are sending you a message, they'll see your information. That's on if you enable. And of course, you have language, which you could put English and Spanish or Spanish for Spanish speaking community. And that's pretty much covers settings. Any questions on this?
Is it send Spanish SMS?
I haven't tried it,
Well, okay, maybe that's something.
but we could test it out and send an update.
On the documents piece, currently, that's just a grab and print, there's no electronic signature or free stuff or anything of that nature.
No, not yet.
Is that something on us or is that on our to build out?
If you wanted it in the app, then we would have to pretty much reach out to ONR, and that would be some dev hours for them to integrate some function for that.
Reason I'm suggesting just kind of ARC, right? Because that could be a pre-populated form that they do when it gets submitted. That might be easier than
And
getting
it'll-
the handwritten ones and things.
Right.
Just to improve that process. But if this isn't the correct platform for it, then that's fine too. Curious.
So that kind of covers the main section for communications. I don't know if you want to go over the other.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, you can.
All right, so the second one, I attempted to use it just once, so just, basically here you can do the voting. There's various types of votes that you could set up. Yeah. Total non-electoral votes. You can do electoral votes only, or you can do non-electoral votes. So you can pick from those options. Usually the admin would be the voting parameters on the admin side, and you would see it on display, and then you would just vote as. So you wouldn't necessarily create the votes.
This is more for replay, not anything that we would replace simply vote for crop elections or things.
Again, with a little testing.
But I mean, is it private or is it public? You,
No, this is,
like, I guess on the server.
no, so when you place a vote, it's private to you. Nobody knows what your vote is outside of the people who need to know.
Just
on the
between
back.
grant numbers and-
Correct.
But that causes all sorts of other, like making sure it goes to the homeowner, but you're gonna have like, this will be a communication tool for all residents. I don't know that voting in here is gonna be the right. I think it's used for polling, but maybe not necessarily official votes. Because you're gonna have to have multiple accounts then for yourself if you have multiple properties, or because it's a person. Exactly.
There's a lot of simply voting,
Hmm.
my celebration.
Somebody like
It's you, Tom.
This was me. When I opened up the app again.
So then you have surveys. And in your surveys, you'll be able to generate just that. You can create a survey and people can score it and be able to pretty much respond to it. And it's, again, it's private, it's not public. So whoever posted the survey on the admin side will be the only person seeing it.
So users are unable to post surveys, it's truly,
It's done, it's strictly done on the admin side. And of course, there's user ratings. You can go ahead and you can create how did you like the service? And you can give it a 1-star, 5-star, you can give it a numerical rating. And of course you have consents.
Well, that was tied specifically to service requests though, wasn't it? Because we talked about taking ratings off. So there's a few things that we've already talked about removing.
Mhm.
And I think that was one of them because it was specifically related to the service request module, but we don't want a second place to do service requests.
guess would you use it for if someone, I don't know, virtual or something else, that kind of survey feedback, rather than
Right.
outside of service. Service should be.
I'm talking about ratings.
I know.
Oh, Ratings are tied in the technology of it. Ratings is tied to service request module. Which is I'm reporting a problem, this is broken, what GoGov is doing.
Right, well, what if I went to
You could do surveys on that.
town hall and rate your experience front desk for town hall? Is that something that?
You can create-
push
you can-
out some rating, of,
You can
almost like the smile or unhappy face, all that kind of stuff? Or is there just no need for a rating at all?
If you're not gonna use the service request module, there's not. So if you want them to log
Yeah,
stuff
we use
in,
it,
yeah.
just put it
Yeah.
out there. If there is a need for it, then let's talk through it and make sure we want it. If there's not, then it shouldn't be released as part of the owner notification.
I think surveys would be, like, you could send surveys, that would be the appropriate, if we're talking like the implementation, that would be the appropriate implementation of like. It was stopped at town hall and maybe send surveys of like rate your experience, but the ratings in here as it's written is tied specifically to the service request, which I think you still have in there as well. We need to shut off.
So
Maybe that one
we're not gonna do
didn't.
service requests because we're using
Yeah.
for that. But in here, you can do amenities reservations.
Mhm.
which for all intents and purposes is the main reason why
Yeah,
we opted for this app. So essentially you can select what you want to make a reservation for. As you can see, this is kind of like a view, a quick view, and it shows you if there's any time slots available for any of the locations. And then at that point, you can just click 7 PM to 8 o'clock, how many people. So you can enter the number of people, and then at that point, you can reserve. If your credit card is attached and there's a fee involved, it'll automatically remove whatever the fee is. If there is like a reservation fee prior to paying the full amount, it'll pull it first, and then when the time starts, then it'll pull out the rest.
It's the true replacement for Rexford.
yeah.
So,
And we probably need to set up a meeting with Parks and Rec to talk through and make sure that their requirements are met and
Is there a limit in how many requests a person can make? For instance, if I want to be on tennis court 1, can I block 7, 8, 9, 10 for 4 hours?
well, if I'm the admin and I specifically say, if a person does a rental, there's a minimum and a maximum amount of hours that person can rent it for, we can do that.
Yeah, I think we just.
We can determine- Right, and we can block hours for cleaning, for a specific special event that's taking place at that amenity, we can block those hours.
How far out?
We can, the last time we set it up, I believe it was for 60 days. But again, don't hold me to it because I have to check all the stuff. It's been a while since we touched this.
I was at the case of what's appropriate for specific things. I mean, obviously, if it's heritage shop, things like that, more planning, but if it's for court usage or something of that nature, is that 2 weeks or something? But
Right.
short time frame.
Right. So that's pretty much for the amenities. You just click on the one that's available. And if you see your date and time available, you can. You could also go to my reservations. If you have any reservations listed, it'll be displaying on your user side here.
As a user, are you able to see for a specific amenity how it's booked up currently? Whether
So-
you know, there's times lots of, for say, tennis court 1, 8 o'clock tomorrow, 10 o'clock and 5.
So-
or just what they're showing is all this stuff.
So for example, in tennis court 2, 7, 8, 9, let's say something is booked at 8 PM, that's not gonna be visible. You'll see 7 and 9. So that's how you know what's available for that day.
There's no interview outside of that. Just, you'll see this day or continue to days.
So you can go in, right? And you can click on the calendar,
All right, so you go to the day.
and then you can pick on the day and pick a start time and an end time, and if it's available, it'll prompt it for you. If it's not, it'll be grayed out on the calendar.
So is there any way, I guess, on this, instead of me trying to pick what time is available, to have those similar bubbles on the other line for a selection option?
I mean, like this.
Well, that's just. Right, are you on that next day or is that reverting back to today?
so in the interest of time, can we, that one, I think we need to have a conversation with the rec team. So, or Parks and Rec team. So can we keep moving forward with the other features so that we have time to come back to any of the communications related ones and still get to Janine's other agenda items?
So you also have access to visitors. There could be a visitor log, and you have people outside of the bumper celebration. You can post it in here. Yeah, and you can see it, it's going there, it's not. That's visible. Control that. You have packages and receiving, this is really going to internal function. In there, it's ready for any packages that come in, you can log in, any packages going out. They do have integrations to scan FedEx and UPS and just track it.
But we wouldn't use that for the residents.
That-
We wouldn't use that for the residents.
It's a third level.
Okay. And the visitors thing, so what's the, because there is And there is a process for visitors right now to get passes. Is this in lieu of that, or what's the intent for that, I guess?
So this was put on,
Okay,
but we were still discussing solution. Size. But that will get replaced,
okay,
because then it'll just be to Gallagher, and Gallagher will be giving that information. In Gallagher, when you have an event, you can use the Gallagher app to say, hey, how many people are gonna be in this event, how many people.
so we're asking other people, wait, I thought the whole point was it would be able to integrate in here because we don't want people to have to install
Mhm.
another.
No, it's a fee, it's an integration,
Okay.
basically, and what's gonna happen is that the information in Gallagher is gonna feed it to you.
Mhm.
That's how it would work.
But the user-
An arm will develop, will remove the visitor's passes and develop it so it speaks to Gallagher, the information.
The user will not need to download another,
No,
that from their standpoint, ONR is doing everything for them
that's exactly.
behind the scenes.
So in the actual-
Okay, so if they're gonna develop, we can skip the access. If they're gonna develop, we can skip that entirely.
Mhm. I guess my question then is, yeah, anything else that is realistically that's comms related. Otherwise, I think for everything else, having an actual demo or not demo, having a discussion with ONR would be helpful from my end. But I know Tony, Doug, do you have anything that you wanted to add?
The only question I have is it possible for us to get a link and kind of navigate it ourselves?
Absolutely, I can create accounts for 1 year and send it out, and you can test it out yourselves.
We have a 3-year deal with those.
Because Janine, we could do that before the next communication meeting and
Yep.
talk about it.
Yep, that'd be awesome. I know, I'm sure, and then we could also pass that along to the members who weren't able to make it today.
Also, while Jose was talking, I sent a text message and I got it on my phone. So the SMS is active. So Jose's gonna look into all the details with that. But it works.
Yeah, I got one too.
Cool, but was there anything else that was directly communications related that we need to be
No.
aware of?
The next pieces are just about your wallet, the charges in your payment history, but we could always go over that later.
There's also a calendar piece. So it's another, it would be our fourth calendar to update.
Bless you.
We love calendars.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions except I think it would be beneficial since we're all coming into this very fresh, like Doug had mentioned, to be able to do some end user UX testing and then to see, you know, to have a brief conversation with them about some of the questions that we did have about the comms functionalities.
As you add people, Jose, can we get, how many people are in there right now? Because I know you ran a pilot with some residents as well, so just making sure that everyone here is aware of other people being in there. So how many people approximately do you already have in there?
Some of them are staff,
How many?
about 20. Some of them are staff members though. As far as residents go, the old tech committee members, Corbin, Emil, you, myself, John. Well, I can get all that information. If I have to put a pause on it, I can. It's not like.
I mean, it's more just awareness. So like if you're gonna test things, just be aware that there's people in there and you're gonna send them messages too. And it's a handful of residents that Jose engaged to test things out.
I guess is there a need to keep them as active users, or is it just the next step in ONR development? That maybe it's just the communications and technology committee that has access beyond regulars.
We can disable whoever we need to disable. The people that we added, were testing, that were supposed to test it, or they tested to some extent. That was tech committee members, that was some of the service area members.
Yeah, I'm not concerned. We know the technology people. I just know that there's other ones in there that I don't know.
For the most part, it's staff and some of the ONR people are
It's
there
like-
as well.
Michael Smith, William Sipes.
Yeah, those were people that were testing it for service, so.
I
So
think
more
otherwise,
awareness to everybody
Yep.
that if you send things out, it's not going to just this group.
thank you. Yeah, don't send silly things. But I don't have really anything else on my end for this one. Thank you, Jose, though, for taking us through it, because I know we've had a good deal of questions about it. I guess then moving on, so we can just keep on case. The next for discussion, we were planning on going over the website. Because there had been talk about transitioning the responsibility of anything related to the website over to the communications committee. So Krista, Jose, I didn't know if you wanted to chat through that, since I know that was something that came from the technology committee.
So I had discussed that with Lauren. She had no objections with doing the proper handoff. I think that I thought she was gonna be in this meeting today, so to do that and speak on it, but I have no objections. I don't know. If the committee members have any objections.
Yeah, so the main reason the technology committee got involved, because even, I mean, you'll recall, what, even a year or two ago, it was very clear that the technology committee didn't do the website. When we had that major, just, I don't want to call it a breach, because it wasn't a breach, there wasn't information lost. It was more of just the malware on the site that took the site down. Bill Long and I stepped in to help Jose with some of that and identifying that, fixing it. And it's because we were working on it, it kind of just morphed into the technology committee. All of that stuff has been resolved. I think as part of the communications advisory group, we talked about the website. There's some work that needs to be done there. But the nature of that work, and Janine, you were there too, like for the communications, the nature of that work as the website as a communication vehicle, and less as it's where we blur the lines. I think most of our communication flows through technology, but technology isn't the driver here. The driver for the website is a communication vehicle to the residents. And so really passing the torch over, the technology is there now, and it's stable and sound. And now to move forward with how do we make that a better communication vehicle?
Yep, I agree. I'm fully aligned on that. My only question is, Jose, if you'd be able to pass along what the Freshly contract looks like. Because I know, again, if we've got all the pieces that are resolved related to, like you said, Krista, the malware and the technological issues that were going on with plugin conflicts and things like that, I think that there might be some room for modification to be able to help Liz and team with the site to be able to make it function better now that we've got those technology pieces out of the way. But again, I know we haven't seen any documentation on what's currently going on with that contract.
And also, just to be clear on the technology side, like we're here to help too. So like, I don't want to say like, here, it's yours and you know, have fun, you're on your own. That's absolutely not the message. We understand that we have to work across all the committees because they all have technology in some way. So for things that come up and as you need help, we're more than happy to help and work together. But like, as the communication, you should really be the decision. You should have the decision rights there versus the technology committee.
Okay. Make sure you get the contract.
Yep. And then Doug, Tony, do you have anything that you would want to add about the website? I mean, this will be something we'll go over one of our future meetings about, like, decisions to make on fixing some of the user experience issues.
Nothing now.
Cool. Then if no one else has anything on that, we can go into the SMS SeerNet package, which I know Liz provided information today. That was basically what the partner packages, the My Text modules, and then provided me with some information just about like using the tool since it is an opt-in. But Liz, if you want to go over just the general gist of it.
Yep.
And it's more so for you on the technology committee is to make sure that you don't, from the technological aspect, have any red flags that come up with the utilization of this.
So it's called the My Text module in SeerNet, and it has the capability to send mass text messages, which right now we have the capability to send mass email messages through SiriNet. So it would be the same kind of process on the back end, but instead of selecting an email, you're selecting a text message. Residents would opt in. They have to opt in via the SiriNet portal to receive those text messages. There's two types of communication that they can select: standard and emergency communications. Multiple members from each household can be added for SMS alerts. So they can add their family members on there. Replies can be individual from the admin side, but it's not designed to go back and forth with conversation. And then the subscription, it would be an addendum to the contract. So it is an actual addendum that the board would have to sign to the contract. And it is, sounds too good to be true, only $30 a month, unlimited. There's two options on the price sheet for the SiriNet kind of add-ons. Option 1 is $30 unlimited, and option 2 is pay for each use, $35 per mass email or text. So obviously the unlimited would be the most wise. But it seems like a pretty simple process to get started. If we can save money through ONR, that's another discussion. So we'll need to look into that option as well.
Is there future capability to further split out preferences as to which text messages I will want versus not?
Knowing the flexibility of SiriNet, probably not.
Yeah, Krista, that was the one question that I had too, because I know we were talking about utilization of Klaviyo which is the email marketing platform, ESP that we use. And it's just absurdly expensive by comparison. It would be around $300 or so a month to add that on. So less flexibility, but less cost basis.
Right.
So what are the capabilities like? Could it set covenants violations? I mean, what basically can and can't be done through? Because SiriNet's where we also blast out the covenants right now, right? They're linked to the account in SiriNet. So is there capabilities to also push ARC covenants? What's the integration look like? I assume there's more being through SiriNet, more connectivity with the larger ecosystem to the HOA.
There is, however, that sits on GM side, and I'm not privy to how they do their integrations here.
So the text, no ability to connect with billing.
Which ones are you, so are you talking about text through SiriNet? So that'd be directed towards, because you haven't looked at this one. Yeah. So Liz or Janine, do you know, is there ability to integrate with like covenants violations and getting a notification for that? Or is it just, we're just talking about mass texting right now?
So I actually just added a document into the chat. Oh, it said it failed to send, but Liz, if you wouldn't mind sending out the using the mass communications tool for mass emails and text document, what it does sound like is you can do based on, you can either do select all owners members or you can do subsets of owners. So you can do people say by street, phase, section, block, or building. So we would need a little bit of additional clarification from SiriNet of how our system is set up data-wise, but there is the capacity to do smaller subgroups. It just may not be as targeted as we would want for certain things that like Klaviyo would be able to do. But it does seem like if we were able to send, if we're not sending individual messages through SiriNet, this would have basically like for like capabilities to what we're using SiriNet for mass emails.
Janine, was that the using the mass communication tool
Yes.
document? Okay, I'll put that in there.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, it will not allow me to upload in the chat here. But the documentation is pretty limited. So that would be a question that we would need to propose to SiriNet is if we can do individualized one-on-one comms for something like, say, covenants or ARC.
Mine would not send either. That's strange.
And then the only other thing I did want to bring up too is even though we do have user information within SeerNet for owners, this is something that is an opt-in process rather than opt-out. So their information is already in the system, so it'd be a quick and easy like slide over to opt into messaging, but it would still be something that they would have to opt in. We can't just do that for them.
Right. Correct.
I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, it's federal law.
Yeah.
But I know from our end on the communications committee, we were really eager to hear that it was only $30. We of course do still have a few questions, and for us would want to establish guardrails around how to utilize this and how to determine preference for it. But wanted to make sure before we move forward with anything that you all didn't have anything from the technology standpoint that seemed like a deterrent.
For technology side, no, yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't see much concern, and $30 a month is pretty cheap. So I guess it's just understanding what notifications would be supported to then justify the cost, which is pretty minimal to make
Yeah.
that
So-
determination.
And making
I
sure
mean,
we're not
for
getting like
example-
30 texts a day.
Yeah, like
For example, today there were still people trying to find out where resident services was because they didn't check their email. So if it's sent right to their phone, they'll know where to go.
And this was something when we did survey that a lot of people wanted to have an SMS functionality within our communication stack, and we didn't know that we had capability to do so until Liz discovered it just recently.
Awesome.
Right. Cool. Well, if you guys don't have anything, Liz, I think there are some questions that we want to get resolved before we notice the next communications committee meeting. Would we be able to have a quick chat with SeerNet sometime this week?
I can check.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
otherwise we would probably need to defer this then to August's agenda since our meeting is next week.
Well, do you want to get the ONR answers first as well?
I'd like to get both so we'd be able to do a quick compare contrast. My only concern too, just being completely honest, is with ONR, since it is an additional application, people opting in to SMS there
Right.
and downloading everything may be a little bit more hesitant to do
Mhm.
so than if it's directly coming from the platform that they're used to receiving emails from and just
Right,
SeerNet in general.
I agree. Especially if we're not in full force with ONR, we shouldn't. Yeah.
Would still be nice to know so that we can also say we did our due diligence, but
Mm-hmm. So I'll look into the preferences with SeerNet SMS. And then we'll go from there. And then also for my communications committee, I did speak with Tim Bach on the phone. He's our brand guide agency rep, and he will be attending our meeting next week. And we talked about a little strategy session for the new brand guide.
thank you. Then Doug, Tony, do you have anything about the SMS functionality? I know we talked about this the last meeting.
Nope.
Cool. Well, then that's all I had on my end, but thank you guys for the meeting. I know we still have, we can open up to owner comments for anyone who is around.
Or did you want to circle back on any of the ONR communication stuff, or do you want to wait till you guys get in there and then kind of digest before we further that discussion?
Yeah, I think getting in there and then like establishing just like some of like the questions that we did have that ONR may have to explain to us. But yeah, digging in there from the user end is going to be a lot more helpful, I think, at least on my end. But Tony, Doug, do you have anything else you want to circle back to?
No, I think the only thing I'm looking forward to is, I think you already mentioned that we're gonna send out a way that we can navigate this thing, look at different ways.
So action item would be for Jose is going to get the communications committee members
Set up.
set up.
So then regarding ONR moving forward, that stays with tech committee, but tech committee is working with communications and Parks and Rec to get their sign off on those applications within the app. And that's going to be how it's going to proceed forward. So then the tech committee will provide a recommendation to the board of, we're going live and these are the features to do the rollout. Okay.
And so our next meeting will focus on the roadmap for how do we, we don't have a timeline. We don't really have anything other than we've looked at it. So we need to build out, what does that look like? What does communication to residents look like? What does the feature rollout look like? And the date we have the only date we have right now that we're working towards specifically is that RecPro is being decommissioned in March of 2025. So we must have at least that functionality in. Addition to that is the access card stuff. Once the Gallagher install is complete, we'll be able to work on that integration, which then enables that capability of being able to use your phone as your back instead of having to carry it around. And then, but beyond that, those are the constraints for work. And the rest of it is kind of up to us on how do we want to roll that out and how do we want to build that plan. We need to build a plan before we can just start saying we're going to roll it out.
And would want to make sure Gallagher is up and running fully before we throw the app out there to then not add more problems onto ones that may already be existing. So.
But in the next one, we'll still.
Right.
Well, they'll always be able to use their cards. So it's not in the interim. You'll always be able to use your cards. It's just the added, yeah.
It's designed to be a pilot this long. We haven't, it's basically just been sitting out there with 20 people. This was not by design.
Oh,
It was, I feel like it
couldn't
was one
hear
of the approved where there was still conversations because that was all before the GoGov. So it was,
We want to
Yeah.
make sure it's rolled out.
Yeah.
Flawlessly, but also transparency. What was doing. So this, so we just make the plan thoughtful,
mhm.
get it out before we're paying for it.
So this is only my second meeting attended, but one thing that might be helpful, at least would be for me as a member of the team, is me, I'm listening and I'm trying to sort of keep track. There's a lot to learn. But I'm also trying to figure out what exactly is our purpose. Meaning, what are we trying to do, right? So we've got, I don't think, maybe I missed it, sat down as a team and said, okay, so what are you looking at doing? Because I know there's been ongoing work for a long time that those of us who are joining the committee kind of new are having to catch up on. Things that have happened historically and been going on for a long time. I'm just not aware of those things. So for me to be able to contribute, I guess I have to get caught up and then participate in some kind of discussion saying, hey, for the next 12 months, what is it this committee is trying to achieve? So that we have something, at least for me, to aim at, to shoot at, because right now I'm just sort of listening and trying to learn as much, but I'm unclear as to what exactly it is we're aiming at.
I think
Tony,
our core
since-
projects are outlined in resolution.
Yep. So that's something that with each of our meetings moving forward, since the first ones we've had were more so introductory, is that we'll be going through each of the core projects and then I'll break down some like the background for each of them. Because again, like with certain things like this, like the text message piece, it was something that was definitely requested by residents, but we had pretty much slim to no knowledge, even from when the communications advisory group was doing a lot of their work. So a lot of this we're all kind of going into blind and figuring out the footing. But for our next agenda, my goal is to have basically the key pieces from the resolution and then the key pieces that we've started working on and like how to ladder to all of the strategy.
So, for me, it's as simple as one page that says, here's the 3 projects that are in flight and maybe a little update on those, right? Here's the projects that we've got on the I'm sort of thinking about, but we haven't even started doing work on. Just so that there's a roadmap, what it is we're trying to do. That's all I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, we
I
need
would
a
start
cheat.
with the resolutions. If
people
you
need a
haven't read
cheat
those,
sheet.
they're in there. Like
Solutions are.
for each of our committees, there's an annual resolution that the board members put together that's
That's initially part of the communication that was sent to the new members. What was it? Did I miss it?
That might have been something that was sent out before we had your personal email set up, and it may have gone to your town hall email. So Liz, could you send that through?
I'll happily go back into my email, not
Okay.
just my celebration email. and see if I missed it, but I thought I reviewed everything that was sent to me, so I don't know that but that's okay, I mean, just trying to get caught up.
So all.
Tony, I'll send it to you again. I'll send it to your personal one. So you
That's
can
all.
have it.
I would also say, from work perspective, it's a new committee, so there's gonna be some coordinating, brainstorming, each other, time just for all of us to get our head wrapped around all this stuff and.
I'm just trying to figure out a way that I can catch up faster and be more supportive and helpful in the process, that's it.
Is Lauren on or Jose, can you answer that? If this thing is for the SMS CRNet package, if it's $30 a month, that falls within the 5,000 expense. So once the committees do their due diligence, that should be a go ahead and Brad Manners can implement that pretty quickly, say within the next 30 or 60 days if generally the committees are good with what it does and what it provides.
Well, I think.
It's the contract addendum.
Look at, is that the most effective? Right, Jeannie, is not, you are trying to drive this, we need to do a side by side. With ONR versus CRNet, I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, but where is there a about?
Yeah, that's basically the next step is figuring out all of those pieces, but we still need more information. We're kind of limited on some of the information about both ONR and CRNet still.
And if the cost falls within, but there's still a contract change, I think that still has to go to.
Contract
CROA.
has to go to CROA, yeah.
So there's a contract. Well, then I guess in looking at it in the conversation tonight, it seems like that text capability is much closer than what OMR is today. So if that is a need from the community that they want text, then I think that should be the focus. If that's truly, if that's not pretty much majority of what we would get in OMR, then run with that and let's get that up and running as a communication channel for celebration.
We can definitely take that in a note for, we're meeting next Monday, so we can take that in a note for our agenda.
And when you say a majority of the function, you're just talking about the text messaging capability, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be, yeah, just want to be clear, yeah.
A lot of conversation.
Yeah.
and stuff to say,
Yep.
90 days minimum of anything getting stood up and put out there. So
For sure.
if text message is something that will assist and provides that needs of communication from brand managers out from the community, then I think we do that sooner than later. If that's only a $720 contract that we need to figure out.
But again, we want, like, get the right solution, right? That's the other thing. We gotta make sure that are we driving residents there? Is it being used the right way? And I think ONR is a perfect example of that. Roll it out, signed off on it, it's gonna be pilot for a year. You know what I mean?
Right, that's what I'm saying. With LNR, you're not gonna get that for, 3 to 6 months where text message you can get within the next month. And again, so.
And it's already in a application that you've already shared, you already have personal information in versus sharing personal information with another application. So I feel like there's a level of acceptance there to start with right away too. It's already out to, everyone already has an account versus us also trying to get everyone to sign up.
Mhm. Well, then I know we have a couple of owners online. I don't know if there's any in the audience, if anyone has any owner comments.
It's an empty room besides us.
No, don't see anyone online raising their hand. Does the committee either committees have any comments?
Yes, I think it's very interesting to hear because, as you said, it's going to. This is a very technology for us, right? Because we are in communication, but this is the basic channel for us. And then to build a very communication instrument for our residents to use, and even that is very technological details for us. But then with all of that, we can build something for them. So we can try everything that you are building. And then we can do a very good program communication.
Couple bucks.
Does anyone have anything else? Oh, well, thank you all for your time on this Monday evening. But I guess since we didn't call the meeting to order because of quorum, we don't really adjourn, so. Thanks, guys.
Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Bye.
No, we didn't from either.